Hey everybody, it's Joe from Gadgetry Tech, and today we're talking about the PlayStation Pulse Elite wireless gaming headset, which has a launch price of $149.99 US, and it has some unique features that frankly no other wireless headset on the market has, at least yet. So we're going to get into all that, but first I want to thank you all, because the reason why this video is coming out on the embargo launch date is because we are officially working with Sony now. I thank you all for that sincerely, because if the channel wasn't growing at the rate it was growing, I probably wouldn't have gotten this in at the same time frame we're doing now. So huge thank you to Sony for working with us on this review. Won't affect what I say about it. You will see later in the video what I like and don't like. I run a very unbiased channel here, but again, thank you all so much for your support. If you're new here, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, because we have a lot of good stuff planned with this coverage included, so let's get into it. Now, this is the second product to hit the market after PlayStation acquired Audeze. Audeze is an audiophile brand making some of the best sounding headphones in the world, including the Audeze Maxwell, which is considered the best sounding wireless gaming headset ever made. I will compare that later in the review. That headset's twice the price, so obviously there's going to be some give and take there, but there's a lot to like. Now, Audeze also makes a lot of audiophile endgame products, you know, like multi-$1,000 headphones that people like. So they have some experience when it comes to producing high-performance audio products. Now, PlayStation also released the Pulse Explorer at the end of last year. This is a $200 truly wireless earbud system that also comes with the PS-Link lossless audio adapter, which means there's no compression or degraded signal quality going to your wireless device. Now, this does work on PlayStation 5, it works on PC and the PS Portal. Both of these have the same compatibility, and they both also have Bluetooth to work with a mobile device if you so need it. I'm going to cover this more in depth as its own dedicated review. I will mention how this sounds compared to the Elite later in this video, but for now the Elite's the star of the show, so let's get back into that. Now, the Pulse Elite uses planar magnetic drivers thanks again to the acquisition of Audeze. Most headsets use dynamic drivers, which is what most people are used to. There is some advantages to a planar magnetic, speed being one of them, and that's definitely the case here. It's a very fast, high detail retrieval driver technology, typically with excellent power handling as well, depending on the design. Switching driver material or type doesn't guarantee a certain type of sound performance, but it certainly has unique characteristics. So when you hear the mention of planar magnetic, that is what it's referring to. It's the actual transducer, or what's actually making the sound in the headset. As far as accessories in the box go, there's no special case or sleeve or anything like that. You do get a PlayStation Link adapter. This is your lossless wireless audio that works on PS5, PC, and Mac should you have a USB-A port. Also comes with a USB-A to C cable for charging duties, and this clever little hook system, because the headband actually has a contact point to charge the headset once it's placed on this hook. There's a little plate that comes with it that you mount to your wall, the side of your desk, wherever you can creatively think about mounting it, and then you place the headset on and it will charge at night, making it easier. You don't have to fumble around plugging it in. Now, the same USB cable that's included in the box just plugs into the bottom of the hook. You can see that USB-C port. So I just plug that in, hook it on, and then my headset's good to go. Now, I want to talk about an important piece of tech with this adapter, because the PlayStation Link technology is truly lossless audio, meaning that there's no compression or signal degradation by converting it to a wireless signal. Every other wireless headset before this adapter has come out has had some form of compression. Now, they've gotten much better. They do a good job at hiding that compression, and most people can't hear the difference. However, it is important to note that because this has that, you are now not sacrificing any of the signal quality by losing a wire. So usually a wired headset will sound better because of something called bandwidth. That means all of the signal leaving your device is making it to the headset or headphone without dropping anything. And when you compress it to make it wireless, to make it work wirelessly with a reasonable amount of range, you have signal degradation. That's not the case with the PlayStation Link, which is awesome. It's also built into the Portal handheld, so you don't have to use this adapter to get lossless audio from here to the portable. And again, that includes the Pulse Explorer wireless earbuds as well. So I wanted to touch on that because it's not just a wireless adapter, and I think some people are just going to think, oh, it's wireless. This is pretty special, and it does become apparent later in this review. Now, in addition to the PlayStation Link connection, this also has Bluetooth, and guess what? It's simultaneous Bluetooth. This is a huge win, which means you can listen to your phone or other mobile device using Bluetooth at the same time you're gaming with the PlayStation Link connection, whether that's on the Portal, your PS5, or PC. So I love that. The microphone also works on both devices simultaneously. So keep that in mind if you do take a phone call Some headsets mute the microphone to game to route it to the phone call, but with this one you have to press the mute button on your controller so people don't hear what you're saying. At least it gives you the option to use both, but it's in your control to determine where your mic gets routed. The party tricks keep coming because in addition to the simultaneous Bluetooth with wireless, it also has a 3.5 millimeter TRRS input. That means you can connect this to an Xbox controller or anything with a headphone jack and use that as well. I did game with this on Xbox, and with the headset powered on, you still benefit from the audio correction or DSP because it's tuned to have a certain sound profile. So the headset still needs to be turned on and you still get your inline volume control. There's a couple buttons on the bottom here. But that flexibility is great because you can basically plug this into anything. Even though it's a PlayStation branded product, I love that they gave you a universal connection option as well. There is one caveat though. If you are using the 3.5 connection, you cannot use the PlayStation Link adapter or Bluetooth at all. It bypasses all wireless stuff, but at least it gives you that option. I know it would have been cool to have all three working at once, but it's cool that it's there either way. Now the Pulse Elite also upgraded the microphone from the older Pulse 3D. The microphone is kind of a boom design, which is why this comes out a little bit farther than this side, thanks to the asymmetrical design. But microphone performance is improved overall. And just to make it a little bit sweeter, the microphone telescopes out. And by doing so, you get even better sound quality because now you have the proximity effect, which means there's also less issues to worry about background noise because it can focus in on your voice. Speaking of background noise, this is a portable blower. It's like an electric blower / vacuum I use for cleaning my keyboards and stuff. This noise suppression is insane. So I'm going to turn this on and not speak for a moment. I'll cue that microphone. I'll switch back so you can see how much noise rejection there is, and then I'll talk while this thing is on as well. And now I'm talking with that on. So obviously you can hear more audio processing. It's trying to combat that noise in the background. So I don't sound as good, but considering how noisy this background is, it's doing a great job. And the second I stop talking, the noise is basically gone. I don't think the microphone sounds as good as the 2023 edition of the Razer Black Shark V2 Pro, or perhaps as clear as the Corsair HS80 Max that just came out. But I do think it's still good enough for game chat. I don't think people you're playing with are going to complain about how you sound. Plus, you get the benefit of all that noise rejection, which is something the other headsets can't really do on PlayStation. They often rely on PC software for noise rejection. So the fact that it's built into the headset is great because everyone benefits from that. So I want to talk about build quality, comfort, and design. And let's face it, the design is very unique. Some people are going to like or dislike it. Some people won't care, and that's fine. I kind of get like a futuristic fashion Zoolander type vibe from it. Or maybe it's something from Blade Runner or Cyberpunk. I don't know. It's different. Now, as far as the layout goes, there are some things that I didn't think would be easy to interact with because the buttons here to adjust your volume are kind of tucked away underneath. Pushing it forward, when it's on your head, pressing the front button turns the volume down, pressing the back turns it up, and you are greeted with two different tones. A lower pitch tone to suggest you're reducing your volume and a higher pitch tone to increase. I already mentioned the USB-C and the aux input. You have your power button here, which is also used for pairing. If it's off and you press and hold it for 8 seconds, it puts it in pairing mode, and that's how you get connected to your Bluetooth connection. If you ever turn this on and the adapter wasn't connected for a long time and it only pairs with your phone, then you plug this adapter in, just tap this button once while it's on, you'll hear an extra beep, and within 2 seconds, I'm reconnected to the lossless connection. As far as on the left side, there are no controls, meaning there's no game to chat mix on a first-party headset, something that the older Pulse 3D did have. So I wish it still had game to chat because to me, for first-person shooters, it's really helpful. You can still adjust it on the PlayStation UI itself, but there's no dedicated hardware for it. I already mentioned the telescope and mic before, and the mute button is on the mic itself. It's not flipped to mute. There's no other button anywhere else. You just kind of grab the end of the mic and pinch it. I thought this was going to be super awkward. I'm not going to lie. I was not a fan of this. However, it actually was pretty easy to use in principle. It's easier than some other headsets that have a tiny spring-loaded push button on the back because if there's multiple buttons there, you don't always hit it right away. This is very obvious. Once it's on, I can just grab it and you can see how fast it is. So maybe give it a shot. Don't be turned off by that design. So I want to talk about comfort and start with weight, because that's always a concern of mine when it comes to planar headphones. They're traditionally very heavy because the driver, even though the diaphragm is light, the magnet structure weighs quite a bit. The Audeze Maxwell weighs over 500 grams. It's 504 grams. This weighs 343 grams. The older Pulse 3D, which is a lot more simple in terms of design, weighs 292 grams. So it's not much heavier than the older one, which was considerably light. The InZone H5 kind of holds the crown as one of the lightest in this price range. It's very comfortable. It weighs 260 grams, but I don't think anyone's going to wince at that weight. It's still pretty daily drivable for extended gaming sessions. Now, some people had the Pulse 3D and they're looking to upgrade, or maybe you tried this and had some comfort issues. Frankly, this didn't fit my head as well. Now, the ear pad openings were fine. They're pretty deep, they're round, they're forgivable for a lot of ear shapes, but there were a couple issues with the older design. There's really no articulation, meaning that all of your pivoting and adjustments, there's a little bit up and down you can kind of see on the top view, but they didn't feel right on my head. It was a little bit firm. It didn't quite put even pressure on my head, and the pads were a little bit firm as well. This new Pulse Elite, it has essentially the same exact ear cup opening. It's pretty hard to put them side by side, but you can kind of see it's essentially identical. However, the new pads are noticeably more plush. They are more soft and forgiving, and they do work extremely well with glasses. So if you're concerned with comfort, the Pulse Elite is a big upgrade for glasses comfort. Like, it's substantial. The other thing I want to point out, the whole articulation thing, look how much movement I get now. This is huge because not only does the headband kind of stretch up and down just like the older one did, you can see this one kind of moving. This distributes pressure very evenly across the top of my head, but because I have this articulation, it conforms perfectly to my head. This is not as comfortable as the InZone H5 in my opinion. That has the crown there purely on comfort because the ear cups are very soft, like fabric material. It's very breathable. This is pleather, so it does trap in the sound. It's kind of necessary for this headset because of the bass performance that they're trying to get out of it. But as far as comfort goes, it is a substantial improvement, and I've worn this for hours at a time. I did a lot of late night racing gaming sessions since I got the headset because that's more static, and I was fine. So I think it's a big upgrade and the comfort's great. One last note, the clamp force is fairly moderate as well. It's not a light clamp, so it doesn't fall off your head, but it's definitely moderate to light. It doesn't squeeze your head too tight either, and that does help again with the whole glasses comfort thing. So I think they dialed it back quite well. So now it's time to talk about sound quality, the very exciting thing with the Pulse Elite, because there's going to be a lot of hype considering it's using Audeze drivers, which the Maxwell has like set the bar again, as I said earlier, for sound quality. So for those of you who are not familiar with this, I start with measurements because it takes my personal opinion out of it. It's a scientific method of visualizing the sound profile, not sound quality, but just the way it sounds. If there's a lot of bass measured, then when you put this on your head, and you can expect more bass. Conversely, if the treble is extremely bright or dark, basically high or low on this graph, that would suggest how much treble this particular headset has. So I have this tool available, and I have a lot of headset measurements out there. I have a link in the description below, so if you want to compare this interactively with other headsets or headphones, feel free to click that link and help kind of shop around. I'm going to do some comparisons, but I just want to mention that. So here is the frequency response of the new Pulse headset. The bass profile overall is nice. It's bass neutral, so don't expect really bloated, thick bass that makes your sound kind of muddy or overly compressed sounding. It's very clean, but it's still detailed. You still get good bass response. It is rolled off in the lower frequencies, so as you go below 30 hertz, don't expect that really, really deep rumble sound. That's part of what you're paying for when you step up to the much larger and heavier Audeze Maxwell, because that has more capable drivers, frankly. Having a neutral sound profile like this in the bass region means it works pretty well for most games and movies. Again, it's a very clean presentation, and then carrying into the mid-range, the tonality is excellent. You have really good fill in the mid-range, so nothing sounds dark or missing. This helps not for just games, but also for music and movies. You want things to sound fairly natural, and the Pulse Elite really adheres to that. There's a little bit of an emphasis around 2000 hertz, which for gaming and first-person shooters is actually excellent in my opinion from testing. So the sound profile works really well in those areas. The most noticeable thing though, looking at the measurement, is the gargantuan amount of treble. That is a lot of treble emphasis above 15,000 hertz, and it makes it sound pretty spicy and sparkly. So if you don't have the best hearing health, or as you get older, most people lose hearing above 16,000 hertz, this area of the frequency response will vary wildly from what you hear versus what I hear and measure. I tend to not listen to things crazy loud. I've tried to take care of my ears, and I'm pretty sensitive to that higher treble. So it is very bright for me. If you are the type of person that likes to crank the treble up in a lot of things, then you will probably like that sound profile. Thankfully, it is easy to fix with EQ both on PlayStation and PC, because on the PlayStation side, Sony allows you to do your own custom EQ profiles. It's not like super high end as far as how many bands you can adjust or anything. You have bass, low, mid, high, and then your treble. And frankly, the treble, the rightmost band, is what I reduced. And by doing that, it made a big difference. I have two sound profiles that I like for both FPS and racing games, so I'm showing those on the screen to help you kind of match them. Toggle both and see which one you like, but overall, it's definitely very bright. I just wanted to quickly show you the sound profile of the Pulse Explore wireless earbuds, which has incredible bass, mid-range, and treble. Frankly, it's tuned almost perfectly, but they really require a good seal. They are very sensitive to seal issues, and as soon as you break that, which is like, finding the right ear tip for you, it really hurts the sound quality of those. They're very sensitive to fitment. So if you get the fit right, they're great. These are very forgiving. You just put them on your head and go, and it's pretty consistent sound performance. And lastly, of course, I want to show you the Audeze Maxwell, which has almost perfect tonality. The bass extension is deep, it hits hard, the power handling is noticeably stronger. So if you like loud volumes with lots of bass, the Maxwell is better for that. And then the mid-range and treble tuning is more tame as well. So it's a more forgivable overall sound profile, but you have to keep in mind, you could buy two Pulse Elites for the cost of one Maxwell. So it's just a matter of if the cost improvement or increase is worth it to you or not. So let's talk about sound quality from the subjective side, my personal opinion and how my experience went. For music with a lot of deep bass, if you're a bass head and you turn the bass up to 10 and play it loud, these may not be the best headset for you. They have very clean, tight, well-articulated bass, but they're not extreme power handling bass drivers. That's just the nature of how this was designed. So maybe look at spending more for the Maxwell or the InZone H5, for example, if you want something with stronger bass. Or there's a couple others out there from like Razer and SteelSeries that have a little bit more, punchy depth to it. However, everything else was excellent. Now, if I listen to games, if I'm playing Call of Duty or a single story game or even Gran Turismo, even with a bass boost, I got no distortion and they sounded plenty loud in the bass department. I'm only prefacing it for music because it really depends on what you listen to. Now, what I can say though, on the gaming side, is these things are ridiculous. And it's played in part by a few factors. I mentioned the lossless audio. That is apparent. You hear everything with this. I don't feel like I'm missing any subtle details. And I'm not knocking some of the other headsets I reviewed that I really like. The Astro A50X is almost $400. The tonality is great on the A50X, it has a great mic and feature set, but the detail retrieval of this is better than that almost $400 headset. I hear subtle things more. The imaging of this is exceptional, and I didn't know what to expect because I love the Audeze Maxwell for everything, but it's not my number one pick for competitive FPS gaming, where I'm just only focused on imaging accuracy, perceiving exactly where someone's coming from. And I don't know how this images as well as it does, but I never felt like I was missing anything on the sound department from a positional standpoint. So for first-person shooters, this is a massive win because now you're getting the lossless audio, you're getting planar magnetic speed and delivery, you're getting that detail and resolution, but the imaging performance is like freaking pinpoint. It was shocking, to say the least. On driving games, I did prefer to switch to my own custom tune for a bass boost. I just wanted to modify it to have a little bit more depth because I want the engines to have more of a hum sound and I didn't want to be as clean or neutral. And these took to that just fine. It made it much more enjoyable. And then when I started A/Bing it against other headsets, I had the bass I was looking for, but then I also got the clarity and resolution, and it sounds more wide. One of the byproducts of having such strong upper treble extension, if you don't EQ, is it tends to make the headset sound more wide and vast. So if you're looking for soundstage, some of that does come from EQ on the treble side and having a very smooth frequency response, you know, consistent production from left and right driver. There's a lot of things that affect how we perceive soundstage. Treble extension is one of those things, as long as you can stomach how bright it can get. Even with it turned down a little, I actually still got a surprisingly good soundstage as far as like the width of the game. It didn't sound dark or compressed, and frankly, for almost all genres, as long as you're okay with taming that treble, it just punches way above its weight. All right, so I want to do a really quick overview because you have just a ridiculous amount of options to pick, whether it's this price range below or above. The Elite is honestly one of the best options under 200. It has simultaneous Bluetooth, which over half of these don't. Some of these don't have Bluetooth at all. So the fact that it's in that price range to get that kind of sound quality is great. Now, things like the Astro A50X is $380. Feature-rich, game-to-chat mix, custom EQ on board, but it's not as clear as the Elite. You get more detail retrieval with the Pulse Elite, which is pretty commendable. Comfort is great on this. Ear cups are a little small, but overall it's a good option, just significantly more money. I already talked about the Pulse 3D. If you can spend $100 on the Pulse 3D and you're considering the Elite, just save up for the Elite. It's better in every way because not only does it sound better, it's also more comfortable and the microphone is improved. The only thing that has as an advantage is the game to chat mix on it. Corsair HS80, no EQ options for PlayStation. It has a good mic, it has good comfort. Flip to mute, if you just want something casual, that's a good option to consider, but it's definitely more basic in terms of features. Has Bluetooth, but not simultaneous. The SteelSeries Nova 7X or 7P, the X also works on PlayStation, so I just got the X because it works on every platform. That's the biggest advantage to the Nova, is it's about $150, $170 depending on when you buy it, and that model works wirelessly on Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. It has aux, it has simultaneous Bluetooth. You can even save EQ to the headset, so all platforms benefit from it. It's a great option. It doesn't sound as good as the Pulse Elite. The microphone is comparable. It has just different characteristics to it, but it is still very comfortable, especially after I switched the freeze pads. So to me, it's not a bad option. But again, this has an edge. I'll just simplify this. As far as detail retrieval goes, the Pulse Elite is the best here, aside from the Maxwell, which is $300. The Razer Black Shark V2 Pro, extremely comfortable, amazing microphone, some EQ built in, more of a bass heavy, darker sound profile. It's got very scooped mids, so it's not as accurate, but if you want really thick, punchy bass, just want like a comfy cruiser, that's still a good option too. And then of course you have the new InZone H5, which unlike the H7, it dropped Bluetooth, but it did give you an aux input. The H7 is a worthy consideration too because of the price cuts if you do want Bluetooth. They're very comfortable, but they are also very bass heavy and you don't have the same detail and resolution. The microphones also are not as good as the Pulse Elite as well. So aside, I guess, from the Edge, if you just want lots of bass, or if you want a little bit more comfort, that's where I would go with the H5. But especially if you're a PlayStation gamer, there's just more benefits to gain by going with the Elite. As far as my real world experiences go, outside of just the sound profile itself, my wireless connection was great. The whole toilet test thing that I like to talk about, I can go over 50 feet with the wireless adapter that's included, which is a great range, and that's going through 2 walls. On the PC side, if you use the dongle is Dolby Atmos compatible. So you can enable Dolby and benefit from spatial audio with this on Windows. With Xbox, you can as well because you're using the 3.5 connection, and Xbox lets you use Dolby Atmos on everything. Battery life is rated at 30 hours, which is on the shorter side compared to some other models, but it's still better than some other models in the same price range. So I think it's pretty average, and I think the comfort is average to above average now that they softened the pads and have more articulation. I give the edge more on the Razer headsets in the InZone side purely from comfort, but the fact that this is even in contention with those is a huge improvement over the older model. Using the direct PS Link connection to my PlayStation Portal, I had one audio hiccup where the audio just completely cut out for a couple seconds, and I just power cycled the headset and it worked again. On my PS Explorer earbuds, I had that happen to me once in a while. So it's only happened once on this. However, with the dongle, I never had any audio dropouts. So the wireless connection overall has been very reliable. And that about sums it up. I don't think this is gonna be for every single person out there, because I can tell you now that treble is like shockingly bright. It is super sparkly. And if you're sensitive to upper treble, just be prepared to EQ it down. If you're willing to do that and you're okay with the byproduct of changing that sound, then I still think it's an incredible pick at $150 simply because it has unrivaled detail and imaging performance at this price. Everyone's looking for a competitive edge when it comes to first-person shooters, or they just want everything to sound as clear as possible, and that's where the Elite really came out swinging. Honestly, even on Xbox, with the analog connection, the sound quality was excellent. So is it going to be for everybody? No, but damn, this is a pretty heavy hitter in this price range. So that was a lot to unpack. Thank you so much for making it to the end. Again, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'd love to see you at the next video. And I'll have some more information in the description below to help you find these bad boys. So thank you again as always, and I'll see you next time. Bye.